Aloha, it's Creativenametostandout again with another battle report. This time it's a 2,000 point game against Skaven. We were playing a regular battle line mission, and so let's start on my side with deployment. Alright, so starting on my right side, I have my Dark Riders with the level 1 Sorceress attached, vanguarding up. These particular models I was using as my Doomfire Warlocks, but I promised myself that I wasn't going to use them again until I painted them because they're just too good. And so now I've painted them. So here's what they look like now. They're going to be Dark Riders in this report, but going forward they will now be Doomfire Warlocks, and they will be, killing units all over the place. Going back to the deployment though, we have my Harpies, then 34 Executioners of the BSB, my Spearmen, the level 4 Sorceress, then 2 Chariots, and then when we pull back out some more, we can see that I have 2 more units of Dark Riders making up my left flank, hiding behind some trees because this army has lots of shooting. Alright, so starting on my opponent's left flank, he has the 5 Jezzails and a unit of Plague Monks, and then a unit of Clan Rats backed up by a Rattling Gun. And as you can see, I've already vanguarded or moved forward my Dark Riders. My primary mission in these first 2 turns, hopefully in the first turn I get it done, is to knock out as many of these Rattling Guns as I can, because they will take a toll on my army as I move forward. Moving towards the center, we have a Warp Lightning Cannon with 50 slaves. You can barely see it, but another Warp Lightning Cannon behind the tree. A unit of Clan Rats, which has both the Grey Seer and the BSB inside it. And then another unit of slaves. And then the Grey Seer's unit is backed up by another Rattling Gun. Finally, on my opponent's right flank, we have a unit of Clan Rats backed up by a Rattling Gun, and then 5 Jezzails and 5 Plague Sensor Bearers. So I win the roll to go first, and I pop my Dark Riders out from cover and move forward to start shooting out some of these shooting elements he has. Most of these all these hills that you see are actually plateaus, so they will be impassable. Alright, so like I said, I started moving my Dark Riders forward to try to take out that Rattling Gun. I moved my Chariots forward using the plateau to cover their advance. I then pushed everything else forward, as you can see in this picture. And then I moved my Harpies over here behind this plateau, just showing one so that I'm going to get hard cover against any of that shooting he throws my way, but I'll also be able to charge anything I want. Then we go into the shooting phase, and despite the fact that I have 10 Dark Riders, I cannot kill that one Rattling Gun, so they're in a bad position now. And then over here, my Dark Riders do shoot off one of the Jezzails, and then a fireball clears off 2 of the Sensor Bearers. And here we are looking at the board at the end of Dark Elf turn 1. So let's go into my opponent's turn 1. Alright, so the Skaven start off their turn by declaring a charge of the Plague Sensor Bearers at the Dark Riders, and I shoot one of them off as they come in. Here's a look at the Plague Monks as they move forward, and the Skaven Slaves as they move forward. In the magic phase, I decide to let Scorch go through. It's only strength 4. I don't feel like he's going to wound them all, and the ones he does wound, I feel like I'm going to make a couple armor saves, and I was dead wrong. He kills them all, so that stinks. Then he goes to cast Howling Warp Gate, and he gets that off irresistibly, and he kills a ton of Clan Rats, as you can see here. He avoids getting the Grey Seer sucked into the warp. He does wound him, though, and then he passes the subsequent break test. Alright, so then we go into the shooting phase, and the Jezzails shoot off one of my Dark Riders. The Rattling Gun I was afraid of thankfully misfires and then shoots a couple of his Clan Rats off. We go over here. I think his Jezzails take aim at my Sorceress, but with hard cover from the combat, they aren't able to do anything. And then this was ridiculous. He rolled the Warp Fire Cannon's strength, and it got strength 2. And he rolled the 6 he needed to wound my Chariot, and of course did 4 wounds to it. And then he kills a couple Spearmen. There is my Chariot dead. That's so stupid. And then over here we go into combat, and I fail 2 of my toughness tests, so I lose 2 Dark Riders, but then I just killed the 2 Plague Sensor Bearers. And this is perfect. It gives me a great charge into the Rattling Guns, and I'm going to take advantage of it. So here we go. Okay, so I start off my turn by declaring a charge with the Dark Riders at the Jezzails. He stands and shoots, but doesn't kill anyone. I move my Sorceress up to cast Fireball at the Rattling Gun. I move my Spearmen up to engage those slaves. They're pretty good at handling slaves. And then this is my left flank moving up towards his center. I'm moving the Dark Riders and the Chariot up to kill off that last Rattling Gun. And then over here on the right, I think I was a little too confident that my Sorceress was going to kill the Rattling Gun. I should have charged with my Harpies at it. He would have got a stand and shoot, but with hard cover, skirmishers, and stand and shoot modifiers, he probably wasn't going to kill any of them. So it was probably a mistake, but I turned him to face other things. Alright, so we go in the magic phase. This is a picture of my little 4 there standing alone. My opponent was pretty keen at stopping my fireball from going off. I had 2 of them, one from the Ruby Ring of Ruin. And so the Rattling Gun is alive, and so my level 2 or 1 is in big trouble. But the level 4 goes ahead and casts Blade Wind at the Skaven slaves. I kill off about a third of them, and then I go ahead and cast a low level Doom Bolt at the Clan Rats and kill all but the Standard Bearer, including the 2 characters. So that's great. And then in the shooting phase, I actually kill the Standard Bearer, and that causes the Grey Seer and the BSB to break. So that is pretty sweet. And that, even it works out storyline wise too, because every expendable rat's pretty much gone. The high leaders are going to tail it out of here. And like I said, the level 1 is in big trouble, as you can see here. But in combat, my Dark Riders managed to kill all the Giselles with only the loss of one of my guys. Alright, so the Skaven start off their turn after a very successful Dark Elf turn, charging the Dark Riders. And of course I flee. He redirects into the Chariot but fails. This is where the Dark Riders end up. In the rallying phase, the Grey Seer and BSB do not rally, so that is very great. And then the shooting phase starts off with the Rattling Gun and the Giselles taking off 3 wounds from my Chariot. He then goes to shoot his Warp Lightning Cannons. 1 misfires, I think, and good lord, I knew that the Warp Lightning Cannons were good because I thought that you shot them like a cannon and then it exploded at the end, which is pretty devastating. But wow, I found out the hard way that I was a little off on that interpretation. It's actually, you shoot it, it explodes, and then it moves, which is just devastating. That's, oh man, I didn't think it'd get that bad, but yeah, completely neuters this unit. But they passed the break test, and I can still move forward. At least I'm matched up against slaves. Alright, so in Dark Elf turn 3, I declare 3 charges as slaves. I declare with the Chariot, the Executioners, and the Harpies, and unfortunately the Chariot and the Executioners fail, but the Harpies make it into the flank. See how they'll do. Here's a better picture of them in the flank, and the Dark Riders move around to shoot the Rattling Gun, and then the other unit of Dark Riders move around to shoot the Warp Lightning Cannon. As you can see here, we go in the magic phase, and I cast Doom Bolt at this Warp Lightning Cannon, make 5 hits, and sure enough, I do 5 wounds and kill it in one go, so that's great. We go into combat, and my Harpies actually do pretty well against the slaves. They are only slaves. They kill 1 Harpy, and I do quite a few wounds where I actually win in combat, and they pass because they're steadfast. Alright, go into Skaven turn 3. His slaves declare a charge against my Sorceress. I, of course, flee. I flee to here, so it's not terribly far. He charges the Plague Monks into my Chariot. Hopefully he doesn't do the last wound. He moves his Giselles up into the forest for better shots. And then he rallies with his fleeing Rattling Gun. Because my Sorceress is fleeing, I think he gets a Warp Lightning off and kills my Dark Riders here. His Warp Lightning Cannon overshoots, but his Rattling Gun kills off 2 of these Spearmen. In combat, my Harpies go against these slaves, and I think we end up tying. I kill enough slaves to make it a tie here. Then we go over to the Chariot combat, and he does not get that last wound off. I kill a couple guys. I still lose, but I pass my break check. So that's it for Skaven turn 3. Now we go into Dark Elf turn 4. Okay, here's a look at the board at the beginning of Dark Elf turn 4. I have charges to declare. I charge the Spearmen into the slaves. That should be an easy cleanup. And then, of course, for whatever reason, I charge the Dark Riders into the Rattling Gun, and they get shot off before they hit them. Over here, I cast Doom Bolt again at the other Warp Lightning Cannon and wipe it out. And as a bonus, I make the slaves panic off the board. In the combats, the Spearmen are a little too much for the slaves, so they defeat them and they blow up and kill all the Harpies. Over at the chariot, it succumbs to the last wound. He's forced to activate his plague banner, which lets him reroll hits and wounds, I think, and that's enough to do it. So here we go into Skaven turn 4. Alright, turn 4 has his plague monks trying to charge my spearmen, but they fail. Then he reforms and moves away from my executioners over here with his clan rats. In the magic phase, he has a couple warp lightnings. They go off and they pretty much devastate my unit. So that's the end of his turn because his shooting's out of range. We go into Dark Elf turn 5. Dark Elf turn 5 is pretty uneventful. I move the executioners so that the spearmen are in the aura of the Ring of Hotek. I cast a couple spells, including Blade Wind at the Plague Monks, which does a couple wounds, and the Black Horror misfires, but luckily drifts off me. Alright, as usual, Monday time is a factor a lot of times, so this was going to be our last turn. So the Skaven here, we're just going to jump into the magic phase to show what happens. He casts Warp Lightning at the last Dread Spear, who's in range of the Ring of Hotek, and he fails to cast, but he also rolls double ones, which then he Dimensional Cascades, kills a bunch of clan rats, gets sucked in the warp, but the clan rats do pass their break test, but yep, the Warp Lightning guy gets sucked in the warp at the last second. I think he shoots off the last Dread Spear, and then that's pretty much the game. You can see here in this last picture, he could not charge my sorcerers with his Plague Monks because the vortex drifted off in the perfect direction of being in the way. And so that pretty much ends the game. Alright, so I'm pretty guilty not keeping track of victory points while we're playing. So really, when I lost that last Dread Spear, I thought I had lost the game. We calculated up the points, and it ended up being a tie. So it was great to find out. It was a pretty even and bloody match. Alright, so these next couple of pictures that I'm going to be showing are things that I completed while watching YouTube content. I really want to thank everybody that posts YouTube content. I watch everything from battle reports to painting episodes to people's rants about things, and it really helps motivate me to complete some of my or all of my projects that I work on, especially those peripheral projects like terrain. So yes, thanks everybody. Thank you to everybody that posts YouTube content. So going over what I think I did wrong or what I could have done differently, one thing I'm going to point out in this particular episode is I wish I would have repositioned my chariots. The goal was to focus on one flank, knock out the shooting elements of my opponent's army. Did an okay job of that. Probably could use my Dark Riders better. But the one unit that I didn't use at all in a very efficient manner was my chariots. They were in the center, they were in range and in danger of everything that could shoot at them, and I lost them. So without any gain at all. So I wish I would have put them on the far right, used the plateaus as cover to advance them, maybe got them into that clan rat unit and got those points. But I didn't, and if I could do anything differently, it definitely would be that. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I really want to thank everyone who has liked and subscribed and commented on my videos. I really appreciate it. And thanks so very much, and I'll see you next time.